Bonjour and bienvenue. It is French week again, and Dr. St. Julien, great man, great colleague, wanted me to participate again this year. And I thought I'd mix it up this year, do something different. I've been talking about French astronomers each year, and this year I want to talk about a place. And if you take a look at that picture in the upper left, this is a picture I've actually used in my notes for many years. And I really didn't know anything about it. I just thought it was such a gorgeous site for an observatory. So I'm actually happy that I did some research on this with his encouragement here. And so I'm going to tell you about this. This stunningly beautiful place is called PicDuMidi. And it is in, as you can see, the very southwest corner of France in the French Pyrenees mountains, right on the border of France and Spain. I got to fly over that one time flying into Madrid from London, and I got to fly over that region. It was really gorgeous, and I had no idea even that that was down there at the time. Now, this place is so beautiful. One thing, it's very high up. It's located at an altitude of 2,877 meters, or here in the United States, if you prefer, about 9,400 feet in altitude. So you can see the snow there. And one interesting thing I learned is that there are really no more roads that go up there, that as a tourist, you actually have to take a cable car, which is kind of neat. I took one like that this summer with my children up in, it was called Whistler Mountain in British Columbia. It was gorgeous, a little scary to go up on a ski lift like that. And look at that at the upper right. As a tourist, they also have one of those platforms, and they had the same thing at Whistler. It was more of a bridge there, but look at that, just gorgeous. So the views there, again, this is a tourist spot, and anybody can go check it out. They have, as you can see, kind of a museum there as well, which is an interactive museum, which looks amazing. And something I would definitely love, a planetarium. So one of the domes up there is a planetarium, which I would love to run myself. So I thought that was very cool that it is a tourist destination. And of course, being in France, you have to have great food. So they actually have a restaurant there. And I saw this picture of a dessert there. It looked pretty darn good to me. Okay, but what about the astronomy? So you see all of these different domes. I guess one of them is the planetarium, but most of those are telescopes. And because it is so isolated, this in 2013 was designated as an international dark sky reserve. And what that means is that the towns around there aren't allowed to have bright lights, that they're going to keep this little pocket extra dark, which is pretty neat. I believe it's the only one in the entire country of France. There aren't that many worldwide. So that's pretty cool designation there. Now, this facility, they started building it way back in 1878, and after some funding issues, it went on pause for a while, and it was finally completed around 1908. And almost immediately, it made at least one contribution. Let me go back to this one. One contribution. At the time, an American astronomer named Percival Lowell had made a pretty controversial, let's say, insight that he thought that he was seeing canals on Mars. He thought he was seeing signs of civilization on Mars. And there's a whole story behind that. But anyway, this was one of the observatories that helped discredit that, Percival Lowell. So that was back in the early 1900s. Now here's one I didn't know. In 1963, the 1 meter scope here was used to help NASA. It was actually used to help map the moon. I had no idea. So they were looking for, obviously, for landing sites for later in the 1960s. I had no idea that NASA would have used a spot like this. So I think that was really cool. The largest telescope on site is the 2 meter scope. And that was installed in 1980. And it made this discovery, which I think is really cool, one of Saturn's moons, a moon called Helene. It's kind of a medium-sized moon. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So I thought that was neat because, again, Helene is also in my notes. I mentioned it briefly. There's also a telescope there called T60, which can be used by amateurs, which I just think is awesome. I love when facilities are open to amateurs like myself and others that want to do astronomy. Another telescope there has what's called a coronagraph, which can be used to study the sun's atmosphere, its corona. Okay, corona means crown. Here is that 2-meter scope, by the way. Pretty impressive looking, isn't it? So that's telescope Bernard Lyot. And again, it's an international dark sky site. It's made a few discoveries over the years, and now it is a really interesting and fun tourist site. They even discovered an asteroid, which was actually named in 1999 after PicDuMidi. So PicDuMidi in the southwest of France, one of the most, I think, beautiful sites, look at that, for an observatory in the entire world, right there in France. And with that, I bid you adieu.